you have the floor.
Okay, well, thank you, Madam Chair. To my right is Amanda Deaton-Moyer, our CFO. To my left, Rebecca Doan, our Sustainability Coordinator for Metro Stormwater and pretty soon Metro Water. And then we've got Mr. John Hundesucker here, who I think y'all may know, and Mr. Jim Snyder. So I'm glad to be here. And may I proceed, Council, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So our presentation today is going to be somewhat of a hybrid. We're going to do the financial report that the council mandated regarding the previous fiscal year, our O&M budget request, and also talk about some capital investment, because they really all fold together in the discussion for all three. So I want to start off with acknowledging the efforts of everyone at Metro Water Services over the course of the last 18 months. Obviously, everyone knows that we've had a pretty wild time of operations, and initially, and especially in the first couple of months of COVID, we had some people do some pretty spectacular things as far as maintaining the security and the safety of our drinking water and our wastewater effluent. And I wanted to make that acknowledgement to everybody. We have provided a consistent service. Water quality has not been compromised ever. And we've maintained regulatory compliance to a large degree on the wastewater side. We have the occasional violation in the wastewater treatment process that is going to be really hard to eliminate completely. And most importantly, I think we've taken the funding that the council provided and initiated a significant amount of capital projects that we're going to talk about in pretty serious detail to kind of give you all an idea of what that money is being invested in. So before I turn over to Amanda, the specifics of the O&M budget request, I'm going to talk a little bit about just generalities about the O&M budget and kind of demonstrate that 85% of our budget is somewhat fixed. And 37% is salary and benefits, and 19% is the pilot and other transfers to government. 15% is utility expense. We go into a lot of effort to reduce our electricity costs, because that is going to be our most controllable utility expense. We do charge ourselves for our water and our wastewater treatment. And 14% is chemicals. And obviously the chemicals are required, and a lot of them are expensive. And the most expensive one that we use aggressively is powdered activated carbon for taste and odor issues associated with drinking water that if we didn't use, would become immediately apparent to all of our customers. So those four categories are 85% of our O&M budget. So now I'm going to turn it over to Amanda to talk about our revenue forecasts, our expense forecasts, and the specifics about our budget request for 2022.
Oh yeah, we got to do it that way. Thank you, Director Potter. This year, our revenues are expected to slightly outperform our budget. This isn't entirely a surprise, because we've had two things that have happened in fiscal year 21. Notably, we had a dry, late fall that would cause people to use more water, and then a very cold February, you will recall. Those drips add up. So that is why we are slightly outperforming our budget. I should also note that fiscal year 21 represents the first full year of rates under our new structure. Now, I can't say this has been the most normal year to be able to forecast. We have been contending with COVID and the different use patterns that has created, but also the seasonality has not necessarily been typical. But now but at least we have a better forecast or better baseline to do that forecast, because our rate structure creates usage patterns, and so we're really pleased to have that in our background. For FY22, our budget is expected to increase to $323 million, and that's about a 3.3% increase over our projected 21 revenue. Our budget requests, moving to expenses, is going reflects about a 3.8% increase, or that $5.6 million you will see in the budget book. While that increasing, it has a lot of different things in it. Most importantly, we are requesting 17 positions, and that totals about $1 million. And that's primarily for our customer services center. We have increased our call volumes notably. We're getting about 80,000 calls a month, more or less, for the last several months. And previous to that, we had been getting about 60,000 calls a month, and that causes the need for staffing. And our staffing really hasn't been looked at in this center for about 10 years. So it will be for the call center, but also for techs out in the field to respond to those types of calls. You know, if you say you have a broken meter, we have to have techs out in the field to go look at that. And so that is what those requests are. And now also there are 2 positions for mechanics to address the maintenance in our grinder pumps, our grinder stations. In 2010, we had about 542 grinder pumps, and now we have 1,400. And nothing like being out in the at your house and you have one of those grinder pumps and it doesn't work and no one can come to fix it. Or in our case, people go to fix it and we're very responsive, but we aren't getting other work done. And so the idea here is to ensure that we are meeting all of our needs. Also included in our budget requests are things like utilities, making sure we're properly funding our utility costs, chemicals, as Director Potter mentioned, odor and taste for our pump stations is important. So we have increased that slightly. And we learned through our last several number of events that we need to allocate a little bit more for generator fuel so that we can respond and maintain our pump stations without going over budget. What I've explained now doesn't make the $5.6 million. A lot of our increase is wrapped up in salary increases. We're very thankful for the investment in our employees, and we're happy to have that as part of our increase, as well as low cap and internal service fees. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Director Potter, who's going to talk a little bit about our capital program and what we're doing in that area.
So thank you, Amanda. When we went through the budget, the rate discussion, I was very clear about our intention to invest aggressively in the water and sewer infrastructure throughout the county. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to give some examples of what we're doing. But one of the things I want to mention first is the market is driving prices way up on construction. The materials, steel, pipe, even concrete, things like that are driving our capital costs up when it comes to investment in our infrastructure. So we're noticing that some of our forecasts that were made a couple of years ago are requiring revision, and the revisions are not going down. And that's it's kind of alarming, but I don't think that's going to change until the market changes, and I don't think the market's going to change because with the infrastructure funds coming out of D.C., the engineering firms and the construction firms are going to get even more loaded down with work, and that's going to drive prices up even more. So we're going to be chasing the same contractors and the same engineering firms to do all the work associated with infrastructure, not just water and sewer. So let's talk about some of the projects that we're doing. First one to talk about is the Central Optimization Project, and it's a $450 million project. The Central project, the Central Pump plant, is our major plant at the top of 2nd Avenue, and it was the first one built in Davidson County. It opened in 1957. The project is going to encompass about 4 years, and we've got 1 year complete. And 2 things to discuss of note. If you go down 3rd Avenue North, you go north on 3rd Avenue North, to the right side, adjacent to our customer service building, you'll see a building coming out of the ground. It's called the Headworks. That's going to provide for a lot of O&M expense reduction as well as capacity increase. Perfect example is the so-called flushable wipes that are not flushable. They clog our pumps and our operations, like our flights and change and the treatment process, cause a great deal of expense. That Headworks project is going to eliminate a lot of that risk to the O&M budget as well as to the machinery. And secondly, we're going to transition to ultraviolet light disinfection at Central Plant. We did that at the Whites Creek plant about 5 years ago, and we used that as a test platform to make sure it would work. And the Whites Creek plant UV disinfection system is working great. So we're going to incorporate the UV disinfection at Central, and also we're going to implement the UV disinfection at Dry Creek. So what that means to y'all is that the only chemical that will be present on a wastewater treatment plant will be a polymer that does nothing more than coagulate some of the flow so we can treat it better. There won't be any other chemicals on site that will provide a risk to the environment or to our personnel. And that will eliminate a big risk for us, and we'll be very excited when that is complete. I mentioned the UV disinfection at Dry Creek. That's $6.3 million. A good example of an overflow abatement program or the Clean Water Nashville program project that we are under the consent decree from EPA is the Davidson Branch Pump Station and Equalization Basin project. So an equalization tank, it looks like a water tank, but it retains a lot of the sewer flow into a tank instead of being overflowing into a creek or a stream. So every gallon of water that we can store in that tank will not be an overflow. So what we do is that when it rains cats and dogs and our sewer system gets overwhelmed because of its age, the tank will retain that wastewater flow, and then we use the pump station to slowly pump it out. The Davidson Branch overflow point has been a chronic issue in the West Nashville area for a long time, and when that is complete, we will have addressed a significant bad actor in that area. 8th Avenue Reservoir. If y'all can kind of visualize that up on the hill, we're going to put a tank inside of that tank and make it a reservoir that doesn't have any kind of stress applied to the outer walls of 8th Avenue Reservoir. From the sight lines will not be compromised at all, and the historical significance of that structure will be preserved. But we will eliminate our number 2 risk in the system, which is the failure, the second failure, prospectively, of that reservoir. It's actually considered a dam, but it failed in the early 1900s catastrophically, and this tank and tank project will eliminate that risk, and it also will help us on a water quality perspective by not having as much water stored on that site. Back in the day, that reservoir was built for about a 60 million gallon capacity because of fire protection when the city was essentially made out of wood. Now the fire protection demands aren't as high. We also have the redundancy in the pump stations that we can supply the entire service area with adequate firefighting water, so we don't have the demand for as much water to be stored up on the hill. The examples on the water infrastructure renewal projects and the sewer infrastructure renewal projects, we mentioned that during the rate discussion as a line item on the bill that people will pay directly into. Examples of that is the 12th Avenue South water infrastructure renewal. That's $5 million for phases 1 and 2. And then phases 3 and 6 will go to $15 million. East Nashville Weir is a $22 million project. And on the sewer side, as far as our Clean Water Nashville and consent decree compliance, there's a $9 million project in Shelby Bottoms. And last thing I want to talk about is actually I have 2 more things to talk about. The Mill Creek Trunk. If you can visualize Mud Island on Mill Creek, we're going to be installing a tunnel from that location all the way to Omohundro South, which is on Lebanon Road, which is our maintenance facility. We're going to be tunneling from that location on Mill Creek all the way to almost downtown. So you can imagine that's going to be a very expensive project, $250 million, and we're going to be doing a lot of right-of-way and easement acquisition that may be a little contentious. So that's going to be a long design process and a long execution. But that is another consent decree project that we're going to do. And then finally, I want to talk about a really important project that we're doing, the Omohundro Water Treatment Plant and the K.R. Harrington Water Treatment Plant process improvement project. We spent about 14 months. We concluded this about 18 months ago. We spent 14 months doing a detailed study of the river and the treatment processes that would be optimum for all 4 seasons to make our water safe for the next 50 years. So we have a really good treatment plant at OMO and KR, but we're going to be seeing more demands on water quality in that there's going to be more and more long-chain chemicals introduced into the environment. There's going to be more demands on eliminating the risk associated with, for want of a better word, pharmaceuticals. And the research that we did concluded in the near certainty that we've identified a new process that's going to use what's called granular activated carbon to, we'll put that on the back end of the process as it actually occurs. And that will put us in a position where we have really good pharmaceutical control and really good long-chain molecule control in our drinking water. We're also going to increase the capacity at Omohundro Water Treatment Plant from 90 million gallons a day to 120 million gallons a day. And we did that for 2 reasons. Number one, we have to presume that the K.R. Harrington Water Treatment Plant is going to flood again because it's flooded twice, once in 1975 and once in 2010. We did everything we could do, we think, from a control perspective and electrical supply perspective at KR, but the pump pit out at KR cannot be raised. And it literally is a hole in the ground about the size of this room. The finished water pumps and the finished water pumps and the backwater pumps are in the bottom of this room, essentially at KR Harrington. And if the river, Stones River or the Cumberland, if it gets over the lip of the elevation going into that space, it's going to flood. So we've done everything we can to get that plant back online within 7 days, in case it flooded again, just like 2010, instead of the 30 days it took. But that additional 30 million gallons of capacity will give us full capacity to serve the city in the event we lose KR. And also, and more importantly, our projections indicate no more than a 30 million gallon demand growth in the next 30 years for the county, and that will satisfy that as well. So at this point, we have the footprint we need for the new plant if we have to build a new one, but the enhancements at OMO to increase the capacity will preclude the need to build that new plant. And that's going to save us a lot of money in the short term and in the long term. We don't see water demand really increasing over the course of the next 5 to 10 years because the new construction that's occurring in Nashville, one of the byproducts for us is all those high-flow toilets, high-flow showers are being replaced with low-flow. And we're seeing that effect, in the last 15 years, not just recently. So without y'all's support in that rate discussion, we could not be doing this. And I want to thank you sincerely for your efforts, and I want to thank you sincerely for giving us the opportunity and the ability to make those improvements. So before we move on to stormwater, I do want to talk about our environmental initiatives on trying to reduce our electrical costs and reduce our carbon footprint. We've got, the council approved recently a contract to build 4 megs of solar that we're going to install at OMO and, KR, Weiss Creek, and Central. And then we're also going to pursue more solar in a variety of other situations. And we've got our first energy neutral building coming online this summer that will be invisible to the grid. And we're pretty excited about that. So every time that we can reduce a kilowatt coming in from the grid, we're going to do it. And we're going to try our best to partner with our friends at NES to perhaps partner with them on energy generation a little bit. So I'll move on to stormwater. And just to remind you about stormwater, everything we do associated with stormwater is categorized with 3 priorities. Life safety is number 1. Number 2 is property protection. And number 3 is nuisance. So we still are doing a lot of work associated with life safety. And we'll talk about that in greater detail as an example about the home buyouts. But we do have an expense increase in our stormwater budget, and most of it is associated with our urban forestry program, and that's why I've invited Rebecca to present with us, and she's going to go into a lot of detail about our urban forestry program and the improvements that we hope to make.
Thank you, Director Potter. Good evening. First, I'm going to brief you on our current urban forestry program at Metro Water Services. I know a lot of people probably aren't very familiar with it. And then I'm going to discuss our request for the next fiscal year. Way back in 2018, Mayor Berry signed Executive Order Number 40. That order has been re-executed by Mayor Cooper as Executive Order Number 5. And one of the first things it did, it was the Metropolitan Tree Policy, and it identified Nashville's urban canopy as a utility that should be managed as an asset. The executive order placed the responsibility for urban forestry coordination with Metro Water Services. And over the last couple of years, I've gotten the question a lot, why are trees at Metro Water Services? Well, the first answer is there is a great return on investment for trees in stormwater. Trees intercept, they infiltrate, they evapotranspire or return water back to the atmosphere. And they're one of the simplest and lowest cost, easiest maintenance stormwater control features that we can have out in the environment. For example, a 10-inch red maple can intercept over 1,500 gallons of stormwater each year. So multiply that by our tree canopy, and you can see it's one of our great stormwater control measures. So that's why water is a good fit for urban forestry. As part of the executive order, we also established the Tree Working Group. It is a group comprised of representatives from other Metro departments that are over tree activities. So we meet once a month. Many of you realize that tree efforts in Nashville have been historically siloed between departments, and we're really working to get those departments talking and working together more often. We provide oversight to the tree review panel as part of the executive order as well, and the tree review panel is designed to review tree removals on Metro properties and hold Metro to a higher standard than we would private development. We manage the tree bank, the contributions, the planting projects, and we look for new projects to get in the ground. And then I coordinate with council members on tree legislation. Councilmember Syracuse left, but we've been working for over a year on some Metro tree ordinance, and Councilmember Henderson and I did some street tree legislation recently, and we're still working on those street tree specifications. So Metro Water Services also oversees tree inventories for Metro. We have a contractor that goes out and inventories street trees. We have over 55,000 trees in our inventory so far and over 26,000 planting locations. We use this data to identify hazard trees. We coordinate with Public Works on those removals, and then we also use it for to inform what maintenance needs are out there and places to plant trees. We are also responsible for an urban tree canopy study every 5 years, and this is just a look at all the canopy over the whole city, not individual trees. The next one is due in 2023, and so we're hoping to fly LiDAR, which will be part of that study next fiscal year. One of the most important urban forestry activities that we have is tree planting. The first couple years of our program, we got over 800 trees into the ground, but this past year, we planted over 2,300 trees on Metro property within Metro right-of-way. A lot of the trees were smaller, and they were on our floodplain buyout properties, but they will still grow big and still give us a lot of stormwater benefits. Another branch of our urban forestry program is, tree maintenance. Metro Water Services maintained over 1,500 trees this fiscal year. This includes pruning, fertilization, tree grade expansion. We have a pending project to treat some ash trees in the right-of-way for EAB to see if we can keep that canopy along the streets. We also provide 2 years of watering for trees when they're first planted. Early studies showed us that if we didn't put that money aside to water and care for the trees, then there was really no point planting them to begin with. And we are working with a group right now to protect the trees on 2nd Avenue that were impacted by the bombing and will be potentially impacted by the redevelopment. Metro Water Services is helping to coordinate the city's emerald ash borer response. For those of you who aren't familiar, the emerald ash borer is an invasive insect that is going to kill all the ash trees in Metro Nashville in the next 5 to 10 years. And it is estimated that ash trees comprise about 6% of our canopy. So that will be a significant loss for the city. We helped create Metro's emerald ash borer management plan, and we meet quarterly with a working group. And we are also doing an ash-only inventory of Metro's right-of-way so that we can figure out exactly where all those trees are. And Parks is continuing their ash tree inventory. So once we have both those inventories complete, we're going to put together a plan for a multi-year plan for the ash tree removal and hopefully replanting. On a happier note, we are also the primary Metro department in the Root Nashville campaign. The Root Nashville campaign is a public-private partnership to plant 500,000 trees by the year 2050. Metro Water Services helped create the campaign, and we continue to manage it along with the mayor's office and the Cumberland River Compact. So this kind of summarizes what we've been doing in the realm of urban forestry at Metro Water Services for the last few years. And so here is what we were asking for the next fiscal year. So our goal is to plan, plant, and care for Nashville street trees and trees on Metro Water Services properties. We also want to plant more trees on Metro properties to help grow our urban canopy. So why are we concentrating on street trees? So I mentioned the return on investment with trees earlier, but for stormwaters, it's especially important when you have trees that are over pavement and sidewalks, because those trees will intercept the water that would instead fall on the pavement and run off into our streams and rivers and into our storm sewer system, bringing pollutants and creating flooding issues. Let's see, street trees also make our city more walkable. This is a fun one. They provide traffic calming, which I've heard a lot of interest in before, and I looked it up. A 2006 study said that a tree-lined street can reduce speed by 8 miles an hour. So trees are traffic calming. They mitigate the air pollutants provided by transportation, reduce heat island impacts, and increase property values, plus who doesn't love a tree-lined street? So the first thing we need to do to expand our program is increase some staffing. So the first FTE that we're requesting is a project planner. This person is to plan and manage tree plantings on Metro properties and within Metro right-of-way. Finding, designing, and executing tree planting projects is very, very time-consuming, and we don't have the capacity to really increase those projects right now. This person will also help manage the tree bank and do community outreach for our program. The second FTE that we're requesting is a junior arborist. We have a Metro arborist right now, but this junior arborist would be primarily a field person inspecting planting projects, contractor work, also responding to tree complaints, which the more trees we get and the more awareness people have of our management of them, the more they will contact us about those trees, and he'll also work, or he or she will also work with our Metro arborist on updating the tree inventory. We are also requesting more funding for our Metro Water Services Urban Forestry Program. We are requesting an additional $200,000 for our tree planting budget. This will allow us to get many more trees into the ground. We've already planned some street tree projects next year for the Root Nashville impact areas. We're hoping to get 150 trees in each of those. We want to do an MDHA pilot and hopefully start a program of getting trees on Metro schools' properties. We also want to increase our tree maintenance budget by $200,000. This will allow us to double the care that we that we provided last fiscal year. And tree maintenance is not only important for public safety, but if you care for your trees, they live longer and provide more benefits, so it's increasing our investment. So our eventual goal is to get right-of-way trees in a 5-year cycle plan. Now, we're going to have to do a lot of catching up because we've had reactive maintenance up to now, so we're really going to have to work on that schedule. And our final request, is $40,000 more for our tree inventory. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have to do an urban tree canopy study, and we'll have to get LiDAR flown for that. And then we also want to continue our right-of-way study. So going forward, hopefully we'll get additional staff and funding, and we will work to evaluate if contractors are the right path forward for the program as well. Right now, we have 2 tree maintenance contractors who perform mainly our right-of-way work, and then we also hire out the tree planting, so some of that may need to move in-house. And then we hope to maybe move our program towards urban forestry master planning in the future. And that's what I have. Thank you.
So thank you, Rebecca. So that concludes our presentation, and we welcome any kind of questions that y'all may have.
All right. Okay. I saw Councilwoman Sepulveda's hand first. Councilwoman Sepulveda?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for recognizing me, even though I am not on this committee. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. I had a couple of questions regarding stormwater. So first, I want to say thank you so much because during the flooding, I think me and several other council members were heavily affected, and you all were out there pretty quickly. And when we have issues, y'all are fast to respond. So I do thank you for that. I know a lot of the stormwater infrastructure in South and Southeast Nashville is a bit outdated. And if it is true that we are to expect these record floods around every 10 years, my question is, what are we doing to address some of these concerns? Because it is not only during heavy rainstorms. We have flooding on a regular basis, as many of y'all know. I know that we have the project in place where you all buy some of these homes out. However, it's not going to solve all of the issues, because I do have apartment complexes that are built on some of this crumbling infrastructure and on floodplains, and I don't see them going anywhere for a long time. I mean, I had the apartment complex where people got stuck in the staircase. So my question is, how are we addressing some of these stormwater issues in South and Southeast Nashville?
Thank you, Council Lady. I can spend a long time talking about the history of stormwater. I'm going to try to be as concise as I can to answer your questions. I'll start with the fact that we're going to kick off, or we've already kicked off, a stormwater master planning process. And back in 2002, when stormwater was transferred by MOU from Public Works to Metro Water, we were in triage mode, and we were solving very localized chronic flooding issues with reasonably low funding. Due to council action, we've increased our funding to $37 million a year. So we use a part of that $37 million to cash fund and also bond fund the stormwater projects that we have done in the past and we are going to continue to do. The stormwater master plan will put us in a position where we can, by basin, identify all of the stormwater work that needs to be done at the neighborhood level to solve the chronic flooding issues that you're talking about. There are going to be two major issues associated with that. Number one, we did an analysis in 2018 of a neighborhood in the Nations to give us an idea of what it would take to replace all of the stormwater infrastructure that didn't exist or was chronically undersized. And that was about a 5-by-5 block area. And I've got the specifics with me, and I can share you that if you would like. But to do a neighborhood-wide project to rebuild all of the stormwater infrastructure would be $40 million. And we're going to come up with numbers like that when we do the stormwater master plan countywide, because in your area and in other areas of the county, the stormwater infrastructure was not built when the residential areas were built. And now Metro is having to come back and refit and in some cases completely install brand new stormwater infrastructure. So it's incumbent upon us to bring y'all a coherent plan how to address it, but we're not able right now with the funding we have or with the approach that we have to do the neighborhood level projects that we need to do to get to the chronic flooding. The short-term solution to areas such as the southeast, 7 Mile Creek is a perfect example, is to do aggressive home buyouts. Because if a home is in the floodway, we cannot design our way out of that problem. If it's in the floodplain, we almost and most likely can't design our way out of that problem. So between those two approaches, that's how we're going to solve this in the next 20 to 30 years. Apartment complexes that were built next to tributaries to poorly performing streams, we can't fix that problem. We're going to have to recover that floodplain. And the way to do that is to buy out those businesses and buy out those homes. And that's what we're going to have to do over the next 20 years. And it's going to be a long and involved process, and it's going to be an expensive process. We've been very successful, we think, at solving small-scale projects and small-scale neighborhood issues, but we're going to bring you that master plan that's going to demonstrate what's going to be necessary for the next generation of stormwater work.
Is that master plan covered in this budget request?
It is.
Okay. And I know that's a lot of information, and I appreciate that because I think a lot of us aren't aware of some of the things that you guys have planned. It does bring the question of affordable housing. We are buying up all of these properties. I know I have one of the smallest geographical districts because we have higher density than most other districts, and it's pretty affordable compared to the rest of the county. So I guess that's going to bring up some affordable housing questions as well as we move forward. It's concerning, and I know that we can't do much until we have more funding and until the study is done. And I guess what's happening now is we're going to address issues as they come up and try and buy out as many homeowners and property owners as possible. Is that correct, until we have the study complete and figure out the dollar amount?
So we're going to continue to do the stormwater projects at the same levels that we've done historically, and we're also going to aggressively continue to pursue funding through FEMA and TEMA to do home buyouts. And based on the Department of the Treasury and Finance Review, the American Recovery Act number funding, we're going to hope to pursue that as well. But from my perspective, the best stormwater project that we can do in Davidson County is to buy a house out of the floodway or out of the floodplain, because that immediately and permanently solves the problem. Everything else we do is short term, but the more homes we can buy, the quicker we can do two things. Number one, the family that's in that house does not have to be rescued. And number two, the rescuers don't have to rescue them. So we solve the problem and we eliminate risk. And that's the best way to spend a dollar.
Thank you. And then I have one last point on this project regarding the trees and, how that helps stormwater. and planting them along sidewalks. Southeast Nashville, sidewalks are few and far between. I could probably count how many sidewalks I have. So I don't know if there are other ways you all are also planting these trees that aren't necessarily by the sidewalks, or if you could go into that a little bit, I think that would be helpful, since we don't have some of that infrastructure out by us. But, you know, we're in a place where we'll take whatever help we could get to try and solve some of these issues. So if I could get more trees, and if that's going to slow down cars, and if that's going to help with stormwater, I want to hear about it. But I want to make sure that we are being considered, even if we don't have
You are,
some of these
Council Lady.
sidewalks.
The good news about trees in Nashville and Davidson County is that there are a lot of really well-intentioned people trying to plant as many trees in as many locations as they possibly can. Rebecca's comments were exclusively about metro property and the right-of-way. We have citizen groups all over the county that are working really hard to plant trees anywhere they can. And Council Lady Henderson's work on the tree ordinance associated with commercial redevelopment, that kind of stuff helps us put more trees in the ground. And trust me, when I see Rebecca, you know, on the street somewhere or her able assistants, I ask her why she's not planting a tree somewhere, because they are the best stormwater device that we can install. And they have all the other benefits associated with it, but we are all about trees, and we are planting them as fast as we can. And we're helping our friends in the tree business, commercial, private, nonprofit, plant them as fast as they can as well.
Well, those were all my questions. Thank you.
Council members, it's 7:33. I'm going to get through the queue. There are 5 council members in the queue. I'd like to stop by 8. That will put our water folks an hour past their scheduled stopping time. And I appreciate them being here and being patient. So keep that in mind as you're asking your questions. And if you can save anything for Maria and Austin, that would be great. Councilwoman Johnston. Oh, wait a minute.
That good? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I was going to give you guys a lot of props, but I'm not going to waste time with that. Not that it's a waste to give you guys a thumbs up, but I think we all just sort of want to move on. But thank you for what all you do, especially you know, to Council Lady Sepulveda's point, my district, her district with the flood has just been eye-opening from a stormwater perspective. So I'm not going to get into operations with water treatment, all that. I think you guys do a great job with that. So from stormwater, it looks like, so you've gone up 1.133 million. That's in fees alone. Is stormwater 100% with revenue from fees?
It's the stormwater fee that we charge homes and businesses, as well as a small amount of fees associated with construction. It's mostly from residential and commercial fees.
Okay, but so it's not the general fund. It's not. Absolutely not. Not taxpayer dollars, except for coming from the. Okay.
It's its own revenue.
Okay, and
its
so
own enterprise fund.
Gotcha. And so those fees were raised a bit, correct?
Yes.
What is the average?
2017.
Okay. What is the average dollar amount per household for a stormwater fee on their bill each month?
There's 3 tiers, and the average is $12.
The average is $12.
Yes.
Okay,
on the residential side. The commercial side is a tiered as well, but I don't have those numbers in my head, and I can give you that entire rate schedule tomorrow morning.
Okay, so relatively low when it comes to the amount of work that you do and how important it is, obviously, after we've dealt with what we dealt with a month and a half ago now.
Comparatively, our rates are low.
Okay. You're increasing 2 FTEs for stormwater, or is that people like one of my favorite, Mr. Palco, and I'm not saying that because he's my constituent?
Most of our increases are, from the stormwater perspective, are in the urban forestry perspective.
Okay, gotcha. That actually leads me to the question with trees that I just had one of them. We just had in our area and it happens, I think, once a year at some point, NES, or maybe it's Public Works, whoever it is that's coming through that's pruning and supposedly done by an arborist, although it looks not like it's done by an arborist. Do your arborists or arborist singular, do y'all coordinate with that? Because those are typically either in the right of way or right of way adjacent for sure. Is that something, are we coordinating? Should we be coordinating?
Okay, I love my friends in NES, and I'm going to speak on their behalf at this point. They do the tree trimming to remove the risk to the electric power wires.
Right.
And in 2001 or so, they began that program. And NES, I would guarantee, would be able to provide an immense amount of data to show the extraordinary success of their tree pruning program because of the absence of the ability for a branch to cause a short. So we don't coordinate with them. It's a completely self-contained process with NES. But as a customer, our pump stations, as an example, we don't have a lot of power outages associated with trees, and it's directly due to NES's approach to that. So I'm not speaking completely on behalf of them, but as a customer, I really appreciate what they do.
Got it. Talking about the home buyout, so I know that came sort of in the forefront with the 2010 flood, and there was a lot of people that were approached with it, and the thought of selling their home that sometimes they've been in for decades and generations was a little heart-wrenching. And so, but now 10 years later, after they've rebuilt, here we are, we've come back. It's like, you know what, I'm done with this, and understanding that it is going to happen again. I know that, so a lot of that money comes from either Army Corps or 65% of it for that one program anyway. And then I know we have an application going for FEMA, but we do have to come up with 35% of that. Do we have a dedicated funding source for that, understanding that for that 35% or above, understanding that we have a huge need, because there is a lot of people in my district, in Council Lady Sepulveda's district, and around along these creeks that are in floodplains that were built before 1978 or 9, whenever floodplains actually came into existence, and those houses would have never been built by today's standards. So great need. Do we have a dedicated funding source to help with that effort?
No. We see it as a regular stormwater project expense. So that is an issue with us because, as an example, you mentioned the Army Corps project. We have to demonstrate our funding availability before they'll execute, and that introduces a lot of cash flow issues for Amanda. So there are some gymnastics that we have to do to participate with the Corps, but we do them because they do the 65% cost share. And on FEMA, after the 2010 flood, the participation we had was, let's see, make sure I get this right. We ended up paying 15% of the expense. FEMA paid, I think, 70%, and TMO is 15%. Is that correct?
That's right. Also, Director Potter's right in terms of dedicated funding source, but we do include this in our capital budget each year. And, so that Corps of Engineers project that you just discussed, we actually have that, spanned out over 5 years because you can't buy it all at once. And so, and we just in terms of the ability, so we actually say we're going to need this much money over this many years, and we actually include that as part of our capital plan. And we also include money in our capital plan for FEMA projects or TEMA projects as they arise, because we don't know when they're going to arise, but we promise you we apply for everything that's possibly available.
So it's sort of in the capital budget, but is it needed in the operating budget?
It's a capital expense in that just the nature of what it is, we're buying land, and so it needs to be in the capital budget in terms of placement. However, and it's evergreen. It's one of those things that we have each year. So I think it's appropriate that it's in the capital budget. It just needs to stay in the capital budget.
What would that number be each year if you were to?
I'll take that one. The kind of smart, elegant answer is as much as you can give us.
Give me a aggressive but possibly realistic number.
I think we could do 10 million initially, and then as we got more in a groove, I think we could accelerate it. But I think if we had a $10 million funding source exclusively for home buyout, that would make Mr. Palco happy as a clam.
Well, I want to keep him happy.
We all do.
So one of the other things from an infrastructure perspective that I think we're all noticing and I'm acutely aware of now is our ditches, our culverts, our streams, our creeks. I saw a picture from a homeowner of 7 Mile Creek that's in his backyard from 2010 and then from last month. And it's very, very different in that the overgrowth, the natural debris, all those types of things have not been cleaned out. I understand we have state and federal regulations that are protecting those waterways and all that. Are we working with those agencies in order to coordinate and balance out safety, life, property over some of these environmental concerns, that we have? There's got to be a sweet spot there because, like I've said many times, yes, it's a beautiful, natural, freshwater stream, but it's also a major part of our stormwater infrastructure. So where are we with coordination and working with, whatever that word is, because my mind is going blank, with those agencies that would typically be very handcuffing from that perspective, because it's obviously needed.
Okay. And that's an extremely long answer, but the fundamental...
And you know what? Maybe, because I've asked it, you can, in the interest of time, maybe that will be one of my questions so that you can answer and we can share it later just so we can move on, because I know it is going to be an involved answer, but I do think that it's super important.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
Yep. And then additionally, some education with homeowners on their ditches, on their culverts, because even today, after my district, there's new debris in the ditches waiting for the brush pickup. There's culverts that people or their ditches, they're purposely, because it's a pain to mow the ditch to go, and sometimes very dangerous, and so they want to fill those in, not understanding, the implications of their neighbors. So,
Counselor, one thing I think is a good way to kind of summarize what you're talking about is we need to begin to think of stormwater as a utility, because it is a utility. It's a gigantic drainage system. And we spend, on the water utility, we're going to be spending over $1 billion on our wastewater system in the next 5 years. And if we want to aggressively solve problems on our stormwater utility, I think we need to start philosophically approaching it that way. And Nashville is certainly not the only city that hasn't done that. But there are some cities who have aggressively pursued it as a utility with that kind of level of funding. But then you get into the discussion about competing needs in a city, and that's a tough one. Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Henderson?
Thank you, Chair Toombs. My questions, no surprise to colleagues, are going to be about trees. And Ms. Stone's presentation, and I appreciate you, Ms. Stone. Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And I know that you are doing some coordination from a staffing standpoint. I think you alluded to this kind of, people in parks, people in planning, people in water, people in codes. Our urban forester is really our landscape code administrator, and, looking at that kind of comprehensively and what does that mean from a budgeting standpoint. Colleagues, I'll point you to the planning budget, I think, which is going to have some tree-specific positions in it. We heard earlier today, Parks budget has those as well. And so I wanted to ask you, Ms. Stone, with the 2 positions that you anticipate in this budget season, just kind of for the comprehensive build out of urban forestry that we anticipate, what is kind of the horizon on that? And then, we talked in Public Works hearing about kind of, walking before you run and trying to kind of pull all these things into coordination, kind of making the determination that, okay, well, we're going to do these 2 positions this year instead of these 4 positions this year. And I know it's not as clear because we have some positions in parks and some positions in planning. Can you just sort of speak to the time horizon and the reasoning around those 2 positions now versus 3 or 4, or kind of growing that a little bit more?
Absolutely. We really wanted to start slowly to build out the urban forestry department. You know, we started with an urban forestry program manager a couple years ago. That person left and took a position in Austin. And so at that point, we really learned that it's really hard to get a lot of trees planted, and it's hard to do the inventory, and this maintenance is really, really going to take on. So we wanted to just start with the things that were really important, and that was the tree planting. And so that's why we were starting with the Metro arborist who we already have on staff, and then just getting the planting planner in there to get out there and get a bunch of trees in the ground. Now, we understand the more trees we get in the ground and the more trees we count along streets, we're going to have to do more management. And so that's where we're really going to start, as I think I touched on, trying to determine if we want to do that in-house or if we want to continue to use contractors for that. There's pros and cons to each. Tree work is really dangerous. We may not want to take a lot of that on and keep it with contractors. There's a lot of specialized, really, really expensive equipment involved in tree maintenance. So we might still keep that with contractors, but the planting could be probably something we'd move in. When we were studying expanding our program, we looked at a bunch of different cities, and we were hoping there was, you know, a eureka moment where we could see this is the best way to do a tree program, and we didn't find it. You know, a lot of them still had it siloed all over the place. Some cities heavily funded, some are much lower, so we couldn't really find something to emulate, and just decided to build it out from where we are. It's going to be under stormwater, so we have to justify it as being able to use the stormwater user fee to fund it. We are trying to coordinate with those other entities, but we really decided we wanted to keep codes and that enforcement branch separate. You know, planning, we're really hoping that the new planning position will be able to work a lot more with us on where we want to take our urban forest, but they're going to be looking a lot at private development, which isn't really our realm. Parks, we're letting parks kind of keep what they're doing, but looking for lots of opportunities to put a bunch of trees on their properties as they'll let us. So I guess the answer is we're just building it out slowly so we don't look around and you know, not know exactly where we're going.
I appreciate that. And then, you know, I know colleagues, we all struggle somewhat with infill development. I know stormwater is engaged in that space, you know, Ms. Hayes and her staff. And, you know, from a policy perspective, as Mr. Potter alluded to, thank you, I appreciate that. Our legislation for last term for commercial and multifamily. And, you know, so I think colleagues get a lot of questions about the single and two family space. You know, there's somewhat less we can do there because of state rules on the policy front. But I think, and this is kind of where, you know, stormwater crosses over with kind of codes and that sort of urban forestry position over there. But I see repeatedly bad site maintenance, bad site practice. That means, you know, when the project gets done, you know, and whether or not it has engaged our infill process, right, because it's reached a threshold of a certain amount of additional impervious surface. I just feel like there's still kind of some things slipping through the cracks that I wonder from a staffing perspective if we could get to, because too often when there's sufficient space to retain a very mature tree that is stormwater infrastructure, to the point you all have been making, house is done, everybody's moved in. A year later, guess what? The, you know, 80-foot oak tree is dead because it was not maintained. And this is something I've spoken with Director Herbert about, but I wonder if you all could speak to it, particular to water staffing and infill development, please.
The short answer, Council Lady, Rebecca hit it on the nose. Rebecca and her vision is in direct competition with a home buyout. So we have $37.9 million, and if we expand Rebecca's program, then we have to de-expand something else. And that is exactly where we're trying to find the sweet spot. One of the things I think I've stated I want to restate is the best approach to this is the classic public-private partnership, and making sure that we leverage all of those people in our county that love trees and provide them the means to plant trees as fast as they possibly can and also maintain them, because that's one thing that I completely agree with, that historically we haven't been that good at, is making sure when we plant a tree that we don't forget about the tree. But Rebecca's correct. We've put a lot of thought and research into how we've approached the first phase of expansion, and I want to execute that first, and I have complete confidence in Rebecca's ability to do that. But what I don't want to do is go charging along and fail. We've got great momentum, I think, and I think it's going great, especially with the Root Nashville program. So I'd like to pursue that and come back to y'all with ideas about perhaps we do increase funding. But it always goes back to that discussion about how much money can we take from our citizens to fund stormwater.
I appreciate that, but particular to infill development review for stormwater in Ms. Hayes's group, can you speak to the kind of the staffing there from a
Okay.
review perspective?
Kimberly is, to say she's overwhelmed doesn't even begin to do
Right,
justice.
understandably. I mean, I'm grateful, but I wonder, is
we-
there any staffing implication or there for this operational budget?
No, and we should, but it goes back to availability. We have a lot of positions that we would like to fill, but in this budget, we haven't done that.
Okay, I may give you a call about
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, in these last 8 minutes, I have Councilwoman Suara, Councilman Nash, and Councilwoman Porterfield.
All right. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director Porter, for being here, and thanks for working with me on the fees for the developers. I appreciate that. I'm going to make it brief. I have two quick questions. One is on your operating budget, but looking at it in details and the program itself, I noticed that there's about $800,000 increase in executive leadership program between FY20 and FY21. They went from a 10 million, almost here, to about 11 million 6. And I was trying to ask, what is that? What does that do? Is this not, because you did have a huge leadership training in 2020. So how often is the leadership training program? And you can get back to me on that if we need to.
We're going to need to get with you on that.
Okay,
'cause we're
and I'll show you where I'm getting my numbers from. But this
Yeah.
is coming from your program details on the website. And so if you look under water and sewer and executive leadership, it's about 800,000. I just want to know how often is that and why is that, and so.
We'll talk about it directly.
All right, good. My last question, or my second question, now this is coming from your budget review that you submitted based on your audit, right? And according to that, the required cash reserve is supposed to be 365 days, which is, I put it down, you said 340 million. But when I look at the financials under that review, it has projected 554. I know with the rate increase, that is going to continue to go up, and that is about 60% more than the requirement. Now, I've read it. It says part of that is due to pandemic and projected on some other capital project that you need to do. So my question to you is this, and you can get back to me later because of time. As we're looking for money, we're talking about we need to do additional staffing. We're talking about somebody may need help. We're talking about everything that we need to do. And we know that we have about 230,000 excess in that reserve. Isn't that a place that we need to go to for that 10 million, 20 million, or whatever?
Sure, it's a great question, and I am overwhelmingly prepared for that one, so let's answer it real quick. So in talking about those other needs, we do have to keep water and sewer and stormwater separate. So I do want to get that out first, just right away. What you're seeing, and you're right, we have a target of 365 days of operating cash available. That includes, and that's not including debt service, so we will always want to have debt service too. So this year, that would be about $152 million sitting in cash for if you're doing a direct, operating to that. And yes, there's excess. And what is that cash going to be used for? Well, in the past, we have not had the opportunity to cash fund our capital. And so one of the things that we brought to you with the rate study was we are going to start moving some of our capital, not all of our capital, to a cash basis. And you heard Director Potter talk about just an immense amount of large-scale projects. Well, pandemic plus slowing down to an almost halt of our capital projects during what we call our period of austerity before the rate increase made us stop. And so getting ramped up to spend that cash, but also spend that debt, has taken some time. If you look in the budget review, you see that we actually expect to spend more than $323 million in capital next year. That's accurate. It's actually, we're very confident in that number. So that's where those cash reserve funds are going. In that final page of the budget review, it talks about what we think our allocation is going to be, and we do have to have a heavy reserve. You will see the TAN this month that involves some of that heavy reserve, and we're very proud to be able to do that. Director Crumbo and I have talked about that on a number of occasions and ensured that this is the right path for Metro Water.
We'll be interested in knowing as we go forward what is that difference that is left after we look at the capital that we've identified. It is a good place to go, and it's about time we start using those excesses because there is a, you know, and so even for some of the staffing and things that we're talking about, this is funding here that we could use, and so that's what I wanted to. Thank you.
Well, Amanda is going to get with you specifically, and we're going to go into very excruciating detail to get you to a level of comfort about this. Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're down to our last 3 minutes. Councilman Nash and then Councilwoman Porterfield.
Great work on all kinds of things. But are we doing anything to save any of the ash trees? I know they can be treated if they're not already infected, and I don't know if that's more expensive or cheaper than chopping them down. Certainly, aesthetically and environmentally, it'd be nice if we could keep some.
Yeah, so we're treating 49 ash trees in the right-of-way. It cost about $11 per diameter inch to treat them. You have to do it every 2 years, and no one's been able to figure out how long the ash borer stays around. So, and they've moved down the country, so we've been able to kind of look at what other communities are doing. Some of them use more treatment to save more so that they defer the cost of removal, but we just haven't gone that direction yet. I know Councilmember Henderson has reached out to some friends groups as well to try to save some specimen trees in our parks.
Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In my 60 seconds that I have left to me, some of my colleagues asked some of the questions that I had about home buyouts as well as flood mitigation efforts. I know that's a big problem that we have out in our district, and I just want to thank you all for the work. We've got some capital projects in District 29. Definitely appreciate that. I know anytime we're having flooding, I can call Mr. Honeysucker. It could be midnight, and he's coming out looking at the district and looking at the water running down the street. So I definitely appreciate all the work that you all do. Just two really quick questions, and I'll follow up with the rest through email. You talked about the a more comprehensive look. I know there was a 5x5 area that was reviewed, and you talked about like a more comprehensive look for the whole city. Do you all know when you plan to have the results from that comprehensive study?
We don't specifically because we've never done this before. Okay. And we're really good at water master plans. We're really good at wastewater master plans, but we don't know how to do a stormwater master plan because we're doing it for the very first time. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it as quickly as we can responsibly do. I don't want to tie myself to a date other than it's going to be as quick as we can do it.
So is that, and I appreciate the honesty on that. I know you don't want to tie yourself to a date, but is that like a 10-year project?
Oh, no, ma'am.
A 5-year, or
I would
1
say
year?
it's 18 months to 2 years.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, when the rates increased, I know there was a conversation about an audit that Metro Water was going to be doing. Do we have the results of that audit? And I'm asking because I know some individuals, I know one of my constituents in particular is still getting water bills of $300 and does not have a leak, has not changed the usage. So, in some instances, there's something going on with the billing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, number one, when we're done, can we get that constituents information? And number two, we'll send you the link to the audit report. It's available.
Thank you kindly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
And that concludes our hearings for today. Same time, same place on Monday. We have 6 departments presenting on Monday, so we're going to limit questions to 2 per council member. And if we have time left over, probably not, we'll circle back around.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.